and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our category 1 riders, in green our category 2, in blue category 3 and category 4 in red. And let's see who is going to take this out. Over the top of the first climb, those distance riders, that gap increasing as we see a push on the front. Who would it be but the one and only Luke Allport, Pavlo Popovic, veteran of this platform, right on the move here. He's looking to get across the gap here. He's the rider just trying to bridge across to Allport, Popovic of Brazil. This is going to be very interesting. Who fancies their chances today? It's a massive pack of riders. Peter Milostic right up with Galuska on the front. Galuska's been active, he's been aggressive. They're all trying to answer this now. Jay Howell just tucked into this group in the pack as well. Kaminsky on the attack here, really putting down the power. He's opened up a gap at the front of this, and the rest of this group are having to respond. Anybody chasing now is going to find this hard because the gap will open. Kaminsky has powered the pace up. My goodness me, look at Osborne go. What has happened to Osborne? He's found a second win from somewhere. He's going to a bridge across virtually in the length of that sprint. He kicks in through the sprint. He makes his way onto the wheels of Knudsen and Kaminsky. 2 become 3. Jason Osborne is back in the hunt. Big move. Big move. Look at this. Kaminsky's opening the gap. He's not gone at 10 watts per kilo. He went at 7-8 watts per kilo, but he's holding the power down. SS, left-hand side of your screen. It's SS on your screen at the moment with the polka dot skin suit, the fastest climber in category 3. He's got 34 seconds to make up on the riders in front. Can he pull them back before we get to the finishing line? Warren can't respond. He's not going to do it. It's going to be Brian White. Brian White, your race winner here on Qualifier. Race 4.
Madame, messieurs, bonjour, ravi de vous retrouver sur MyWhoosh pour ce Sunday Race Club catégorie. Au départ, la catégorie 4 en rouge, les bleus de la catégorie 3, la catégorie 2 en vert et bien sûr la catégorie 1 en jaune avec les rouges qui vont ouvrir le bal. Patrick Karlström, le finlandais, petit nouveau de la bande. On lui souhaite d'ores et déjà la bienvenue et on va voir s'il sera en mesure de jouer un rôle significatif sur cette manche ici. Voilà, c'est parti, 46 coureurs. Et là, j'ai pas noté de nouveautés. Voilà, ce sont des gars qui étaient présents soit la semaine passée ou soit ce sont des bons vieux habitués de la plateforme MyWhoosh. Alors, regardez, Voyasek qui était à 2 secondes, maintenant il est déjà à 9. Gros numéro réalisé par SS. Alors, chez les jaunes, en tout cas, c'est la guerre. C'est la guerre depuis le début. Ça ne débranche pas et on a une accélération de Daniel Turek avec Lyndon Milostic et Michael Knudsen. Et nos 4 concurrents de tête ne sont plus que 3 puisque Nicolas Spratt a pété. Tout simplement, il a explosé là, Nicolas Spratt, l'Australien. On se retrouve avec SS, Voyasek et Squillary. Quelle démonstration de SS et White qui arrive à prendre cette fois-ci un avantage un peu plus conséquent. Est-ce que ça va être suffisant par rapport à Ola Warren? Je crois que White est parti pour s'imposer, mais quelle bataille entre ces deux-là jusqu'au bout. Et c'est l'Américain qui s'impose. Voilà qui est fait.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام متابعينا في كل مكان، أهلا وسهلا بكم مع الانطلاقات الأربعة والفئات الأربعة. الفئة باللون الأحمر، الفئة الرابعة والفئة الثالثة بالأزرق، والفئة الثانية باللون الأخضر، والأولى باللون الأصفر.
اليوم نراه كما رأينا عدد من اللاعبات منذ قليل في سباق السيدات. انتقلنا إلى فئات أعلى مستوى. نرى اليوم تيم كونيل انتقل من الفئة الرابعة إلى الفئة الثالثة بعدما رأيناه في الأسبوع الماضي سيطر بشكل واضح على مجريات السباق من الفئة الرابعة.
برافو يا اس على هذا الأداء الجيد والتقدم الممتاز الآن. برافو على المرتفع. اس يتألق في هذا اليوم، يتألق اس. أوليفر سايمون اليوم ماذا حل بهذا البطل؟ عنده قميصين لحد الآن، يتفوق على نفسه في هذا التحدي يا كابتن. اس مرة أخرى يعزز الآن الطاقة والقوة 7.1 يضغط بأداء ممتاز، قراءاته ممتازة 449 واط. هجوم الآن اكسلريشن من جيسون أوزبورن. جيسون أوزبورن يتحدى الجميع في عملية سبرنت الآن، يتقدم في هذه الأثناء في محاولة اللحاق للدراجين في المقدمة. الله 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 على هذا التناغم الجميل، على هذا المستوى العربي الجميل. يلا يا سعد خير الدين، ويلا يا محمد العلمي. نعم المغاربة ظهروا الآن في الصورة. برافو براين وايت. بعد هذا التقدم يأتي أولا وارن الآن. براين وايت سوف ينهيها بالأمام أمام أولا وارن السويدي. الأمريكي براين وايت هو بطل الفئة الرابعة.
So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, to our monthly finals for September, after 4 amazing qualifiers that culminated in that finish on the climb of Wollongong you've just seen. It's time to go in to the last race of the month, the finals, with the team competition in progress. My name is Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of today's race action. My usual co-commentator still on duty at the UCI Road and Para Road World Championships from Zurich in Switzerland, which is where we are going to head. We are going to the same race route as we saw in our women's competition earlier on today in our MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club finals. 45 kilometres almost to cover, 44.5. So don't be fooled if you're out and racing. It's 500 metres shorter, but my goodness, it is a brutal course. In total of this course, there is only 5.3 kilometres of flat. That is a 1.7k at the start, and then from the Zurich sprint to the start of the Lindenhoff climb for the second time. It means that the 2 climbs that we repeat twice, the Lindenhoff climb and the Witticum climb, are going to be critical. The top section is not easy because, as you can see, it's constantly undulating. And then we've got the big descent down. A little bit of a riser over into that Zurich sprint and that flat section before we come back onto our climbs for the second time. And the race finish, wow, that top section of plateau, it's 10.1 kilometres from the end of the Witticum climb for the second time to our finishing line. It's going to be tough. It's going to be brutal. 44.5k, 875 metres of climbing. First time on the course, we're doing it in a final. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Now, we have 4 race categories 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 minutes between categories 1 and 2, and 3 and 4. 10 minutes between categories 2 and 3 in the middle. But we're going to kick off with category 4, as always, on the Sunday Race Club. Now, because it is the finals, our teams are in a competition. BMC are racing with 5 riders, the Desert Falcons with 3. Level Avengers, they've got 5 riders in our finals, and Level Up Racing also with 5. The Mighty Duck Squad, they've got 5 riders too, as do Spinergy, the Anzacs, and Upcycled. 8 teams, 39 riders. 168 riders in total, 33 teams in total here today for the finals on our entry list. The riders are lined up and ready to go in category 4. The first of our riders away in the men's final on the Sunday Race Club in October. Here we go. These riders qualifying. They had to get 2 qualifying rides in on 2 of our 4 race qualifiers. And these riders getting those verified rides in. As with all the Sunday Race Clubs, all our riders subject to verification process. Every single rider in every single category getting verified, going through those checks and having to complete all of the data points and making sure they've got that dual recording. So super fair racing, super fast riding, super competitive, and you know you're racing against real people, putting real performances in somewhere out and around the world. Now, Whilst we do our quick start, let's take you through the teams here. We are in with Mohamed Mukhtari, the Spinergy team. He's got Dadzin, Somervilla, Cronje, and Jacobonis for teammates on Spinergy. We've got Johnson Kutab. He's in the Mighty Ducks team. That's Agudela, Cadeleron, as well as Kutab, Truba, and Newman. Buamer in and racing. He's part of the Desert Falcons team with Nielsen and Leonardo as well. We've got the BMC Racing Squad represented by Navarro, Skretting, Horsley, Kronwanos, as well as Gonzalez. We've got Level Avengers, Zimiel, Russinet, Callinger, and Brito and Francis. Level Up Racing, well, that's Bogran, Fielder, Rooney, Cadabona, and Warren. Warren, we've seen on great form. We've got the Anzacs squad, Brett McMurtry, along with David Winfield, Jonathan Cridlin, Marcus Cavahal, and Mark Dazin. And the Upcycle squad, Drummer, Schoberg, Lloyd, Leonardo, and Mayard. It's going to be really interesting to see who can take out the team competition. 8 teams, 5 team prizes. And very difficult to pick between these teams because although lots of these teams have absolutely star riders, I wouldn't say that there is a dominant team in amongst them in terms of the riders in there. We've seen movement between the categories, riders moving from category 4 into category 3 and so on. And I think that is going to change the dynamics. Good to see you, Mohamed Mukhtari, on the screens here. You can see already tapping out a really nice rhythm here, 95, 96 revs per minute here. And Mukhtari, one of those riders that we know is going to be in the mix, riding from Turkey. Going to be interesting to see how he gets on when we hit those climbs. And it's not long, in fact. We're about to hit the start of climb number 1, which we repeat as climb number 3. This is the climb of the Lindenhoff. 1.8 kilometers in total, average gradient 5.3. It steepens right the way up to 15%, up near the very top of the slope before easing slightly, 93 meters of elevation. But this is brutal. You've got the little kickers come in. It levels as we go around the right-hand turn that's coming up, where the tram is running along on that slighter gradient. But then we kick up and over again up to the summit. We descend from climb 1 straight into climb 2. So you've got to be in it here. Already the group broken, 1 or 2 riders being distanced off the back of this pack. The riders at the moment chasing the tram up the roadway here. I'm not sure they get any draft off that tram. That is one question for Rodney Loxley and the team at MyWhoosh. Can you draft a tram? Is it possible? I suspect it's not, sadly. Always good when you're able to do that. And the pace they're going at 35 kilometers an hour, definitely one where that draft is going to take effect. You can see when a rider's in the draft because their numbers are green in terms of watts. Our riders are able to draft each other, whether in category 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1. So whenever they mix with each other, they can all draft each other. Our next group of riders will be chasing 5 minutes behind. The squad here, 9 teams in category number 3, 49 riders on our start list. The Anzacs with 5 riders. The Otoroa Alliance with 5 riders. The draft squad, they've got 4 out of a possible 5. The GUW squad with 5 riders. The Gold Grabbers with 4 riders on their start list. Level Racing, they've got 5 in, as has Level Racing Revolution with 4. My apologies. So 1 down for them. The Pro Beginner, they've got 5 riders in the squad, and the Silver Snatchers have 4. Nobody on teams of 3, so everybody with riders to spare, depending on their performances. And again, difficult to call a favourite squad in this or a favourite top 3. Any one of these 9 squads could well put 3 riders into contention for the team win here today. We're in with Nathan Peterson as we go off from the start here in category 3, the second of our groups of riders away. As these riders make their way out from the start, Pablo Popovic of Brazil, the rider that we're following. And at the moment, Pablo Popovic in this group you saw last week. He's coming back into form. He's a veteran of the platform. He's a rider who we know is able to ride strongly. But this doesn't necessarily favour those riders with lots of experience because this is the World Championships course. It's the same course that is being used for the World Championships that Emma my co-host, is commentated on right at this moment for the Paris Cycling World Championships, and the Road World Championships later on today are on that self-same course in Zurich. This is known as the City Loop in the Paris and at the Worlds. It is our Zurich race route here today, and it is a tough one. We start off in the city centre here. We've got tram tracks and cobbles, none of which are going to pose a problem for our riders as we head out with SS in this leading group. One rider just squeezing on at the front, but I suspect these riders, if they've been watching the women's racing, if they've watched the Category 4, they'll know that because you go straight into this climb at 1.7k, you've got to really be ready for that. Making sure that you've got the pacing right is going to be key. Around the right-hand turn, we run along the riverside for a while. We've basically come around the top of the lake. This is one of the two rivers that runs in to the top of the lake. Our Category 3 riders on the way through. Nick Squillari, one of those top riders in there. So Squillari racing in Category 3. He is going to be racing for the Aotearoa Alliance. Aotearoa, the original language and peoples of New Zealand. So the Aotearoa Alliance is Sanchez, Ace, Vojicek, Squillari and Connell. We've also got the Anzacs team, Valencia, Marin, Bristolian, Dimantuan and Edwards. We've got Van der Zelt, Moreno, Oviedo and Gerardo riding for the draft squad. And GUW with Ridley, Kirchner, Smythe, Cadiz and Guarin in Category 3. We'll go through some of the other riders in a second. And we're just dropping in with Category 4. We've gone over the top, setting the first time. This is the first indicator of pace on that climb. 4 minutes 21.277, the fastest time up that climb. And you can just see Ola Warren in that polka dot skin suit in the mass of red jerseys. They are over the top of climb number 1 and heading for climb number 2, the Whitcomb climb, as the squads of Category 3 go in. Already riders being distanced from the back of the pack in Category 3. They're onto the base of the climb as Category 4 descend down. Let's take you through very quickly, the rest of the squads in the Category 3 race. We've got the Gold Grabber, Spratt, Kansara, Kochikov and Giuliano. We've got Level Racing, Ben Kirk, Allport, Pedersen, Hagland, Tuomi. Level Racing Revolution, West, Cirillo, Roy and Zurich. We've got Pro Beginner, which is Godzari, Cardona, Ellis Montoya and Arrego. And the Silver Snatchers with Pulgarin, Veles, Montier and Gonsolin. Watch out for Pablo Popovic, SS, Pino, Meyer, Montiero, Tidholm, Holtz, along with Jedi Bello. They do not have a team, so they can ride their own race. They don't need to worry about team tactics at all. It's all down to what they want to do for themselves. Hagland here on the climb, though, he is a rider who will be looking to put level racing into a key place. We're just in with Luke Allport here. Now, one of his teammates, they're just holding together up near the front of this main group as we come up the climb. We've done the leveling where we go past the tram tracks. The tram's taking a tight left-hand turn. At the moment, Allport out of the saddle here. He knows it's going to get steeper. He's going to get tougher. You need to stay in contention, and this attrition is already starting. Riders being distanced off the back of the group in the early stages. Riders being distanced on this climb, and once you are out of the back of this group, you are going to be in big trouble because you are not going to be in contention. Category 3, left-hand side of your screen, the leaders climbing up. The end of this climb comes at 3.5k, plenty of distance left to break this up. Meanwhile, right-hand side of your screen, you can see Bouamer at the moment chasing on the back of this group. He is currently working, he's the 19th rider on the road, meaning there are 18 riders in that pack in front of him, and the leading 18 starting to stretch the gap to Bouamer. You can see he's in 19th position, 7 seconds back to Newman and Francis. They are the chasing riders, but there are riders scattered all the way down this hillside now as we make our way up towards the end of the first part of the Whitcomb climb. The Whitcomb climb, first section, it's got an average gradient of about 6%. It maxes out at just under 8. It levels then, and it levels for about 350 meters before kicking. The steepest part of the second section is actually quite early on, going up to 10%, and then it continues up to the summit. and the summit of the second climb comes at 7.6k. So category 4 on the second of our climb, category 3 on the first of our climbs, working very, very hard at the moment to try and stay in contention. The group is strung out. You can see that on the left-hand side of your screen. We have a long line of blue discs, each disc representing a rider here on the course. And at the moment, we're going to see riders, I think, anywhere outside of the top 10, 15 in trouble, because as they go over the top of this climb, it's very quickly going to descend. And as it does so, the pace will pick up, the speed will pick up, and any gaps, the slightest gap, it might only be a tyre width at the top, but it's going to accelerate up and the front before the rear riders are up and onto the summit, and that will really stretch these gaps out. At the moment, you can see Oviedo tucked in here, really focused on the screen. You can see his face at the moment, that expression, one of concentration as he looks down at the riders in front. Pablo Popovic leading him over the top. Popovic quickly onto the wheels here. SS with the fastest time. He started in the middle of the pack, went over the top at the front of the pack. That's giving him the fastest time. Sub 4 minutes at the moment. Sub 4 minutes. This is a 3:55. In fact, all the top 10 riders going over sub 4 minutes at the moment. Fantastic racing, fantastic speed already on that climb into the descent. And as you can see, the leading pack has pulled clear. We've got riders distance behind. This is going to be critical. Lewis Ridley here really fighting to get into the wheels here in category 3. Doesn't want to be distanced, but the GUW squad goes straight up and through to the front. And I think they're going to see the first of the category 4 riders in front are going to be not all that far in front of them. Interestingly, the mix of this group of riders, it is a really talented pack. And just looking to see if any of the big names that we would expect to be there are missing. Not seeing any missing at the moment. So they're going to take the left-hand sweeping turn. They'll be in to the start of climb number 2. And the start of climb number 2 coming at 5.1k. So 500 meters down the road, they can just about make out that polka dot banner. For the start of the climb, it's a long way to the top of the riders in category 4. Now, we saw them come into the climb. They're on to the climb. Kevin Horsley leading up. Jacques Russinek, McMurtry, Navarro, Winfield, Callangad, Warren, Kriwanos, all in the mix here. Callangad moving up. It's still a big group at the front. They're climbing. And I think at this stage, this is about staying with the pack. You don't need to put down a race-winning performance and break clear. What you want to do is put people under pressure and separate them off the back of the group. So we're going to see those groups whittled down on lap 1 here. We've then got the long run across the summit, dropping down through past the lakeside and then onto these climbs again. And that's where you're going to start to see the gaps open. Callangad here, sucking in the oxygen, trying to get as much air into those lungs as possible, get it into that bloodstream. You can see how hard he's working here as he goes up the climb in category 4 and 3 on to the second of our climbs. Category 2 about to take to the race start. 45 riders on our start sheets, 9 teams. The Goats with 5 riders, Level NSA Racing with 5, the MyWhoosh Werewolves with 4, the Restart powered by Alex Co. And they have 4 riders. Rule 5 have 4. You work that one out. We have, of course, the Wattage Warlocks, the Wattage Warriors, both of those teams with 5 riders. The Wattage Race have 4, and What's Up have 3 riders in there. The UAE Clan team, well, they're captained by Mr. X100 once again. They can't discount him from being right up in the mix, nor in fact Zaid Hamdan, Alberto Hernandez, Eric Diduch, Gomez Almeida, and Wojciech Galuska. It's time to go racing here in category 2. This is going to be a tough race here today. We've got a real mix of riders, different ages, different regions of the globe, different times of day, different skills and abilities, some sprinters, some climbers, some rouleurs, and it's not going to suit just any one type. This is a fantastic race route round Zurich. It provided amazing action over the last 9 days at the World Championships. We've seen hundreds of people visiting the MyWhoosh stand in Zurich to come and have a look. The MyWhoosh banners have been across the side of the finishing straight as a sponsor of those road champs, and we're out on the self same city course here, and already the pace that's being put on the front of this group is leaving riders behind. There's at least 4 riders not in contact already, and we're not even a kilometre in. Massive kick by Eric Rimburg on the front. Golden Boy is looking to emulate a gold medal performance here today. He's gone off from the gun. He went out fast. Maybe he's been having too many espressos, maybe too much of his own homemade energy bar. Has he eat it all in one go for breakfast this morning? Well, he's got to hope not if we go up onto the climbs, but he's kicking down well at the moment. Look at the group behind. They're coming, but the power and the pace of the group and Eric Rimburg here has put people in trouble already, distancing some off the back. Alcase Sultan, Mr. X100, Downey, Dunn, Largo, all around the front of the group, all looking to be in the right place. They want to make sure they do not let Rimburg go. This will be a storming course for him to take away, and nobody surely is going to be able to solo all the way around this race route. There's just too much advantage of being in that pack, taking the draft, taking the rest when you can. The racing is so tight. Over the bridge we go, over the river. We're onto the right-hand bank now. As we come down in through, we're going to be taking a right-hand turn very shortly, and we're going to be up on to the climb. Solo leader Rimbaud, 4 seconds down the road from Sultan, Alcase, Mr. X100, Calman, Downey and Co. The big pack have him in their sights, but it will be Rimbaud who hits the climb a banner first. He's going to be the first one to see that gradient go from the flat in to the ascent as he takes that right hand turn in front of the group. They're coming behind in the Alps in the background, the mountains surrounding these riders. Into the climb we go, and you can see that gradient instantly kicking it up. We work our way up to the tram tracks that run across, and at the moment this group are working well. Bert Kane in here, Jonah Tuika in here, Rushmer, Rodriguez, and Bitco. This kick is a brutal wake-up call if you haven't warmed up well. If you weren't separated out by the kick out from the line, you're going to get separated now. And you can see the pace of the Category 2 riders at the moment matching that of the tram here in Zurich. Mr. X100 tucked into this group, wanting to make sure he's in a position. You can just see out the saddle, kicking down at the moment, 94 reps per minute, working his way up into this group. And the pace absolutely brutal at the moment. Up on the front, Eric Rimburg is smashing out the revs at the moment, 180 beats per minute from Rimburg. He must got to be close to his limit, surely. He's absolutely flying. He had 4 seconds coming in. He completes the first part of the climb with a 4-second gap still, and it means that everybody is trying to kick down. Nobody is taking this easy. No one's sitting back here in Category 2. So Categories 2, 3 and 4 on the road, on the way around this race route. Category 1 are going to be our last group to go. We're into countdown into those last 50 seconds as the Alpha Jaw squad with their 5 riders are down on the start line up against the Farm Watts squad. 4 riders in their squad. We've got the Foodray Puncher Coalition in here as well as Hard to Guard with 4. Just Keep Pedaling. They've got 4 riders as well. Limiter Jaja have 4 riders in their team. The team of 5 have 5. Listen to that rule. 5, team of 5 have 5. That's how it works. Rule 5, surely. Then the Venga boys with 5 in there as well. We have a number of individual riders like Quintero, like Betty and Althebe, who could all be in the mix. It's time to find out who's going to take away the top spot in Category 1 on our monthly race final here on the Sunday Race Club. The last race of the month, and away we go in Category 1. Nair, Osborne and Van Els leading the pack out from the pen. on to the little link road here that will take them onto the course proper. They'll be coming back past it just over 26 kilometers time. They will have covered all those meters of ascent around before they climb up once again. This is going to be tough stuff. Just in with Arnie Jacobs. Jacobs, part of one of our big squads here today. Question will be, can he make it pay off? Will the Wenger boys be partying all the way to the finish? He's got Kel Power, Ricardo Panizza, Seed DeVet, and Vidal Mayer with him. And there's some really strong riders in that squad. We'll see if they can take on the hard-to-guard squad. Jason Osborne, Martin Martins, Michael Nussen, Stefan Van Els. Surely going to be one of the top two teams. Very difficult to tell, though, because you've got Chirek, Tolbert, Justin, and Kaminsky and Jones, the Alpha Jaw squad, possibly the hot favourites in Category 1. They're chasing Category 2, who are making the way to the top of the Lindenhoff climb. We're in with Mr. X100 at the moment and Hassan Sultan. They're the two riders together. Mr. X100 on the bright yellow wheeled bike, making his way up through underneath the climb here. They've caught Rushmore. They have caught Danny, and they need to keep on pushing together. Mr. X100 very quickly up to speed here. He knows he wants to get back to that leading group before they hit the next climb. And the next climb is a more steady gradient. You don't have that final kick of 15% that you get on the Lindenhoff climb when we go across, and that is going to be really critical. A very fast time in Category 2. You can see that the times have been taken right down in Category 2 from our Category 4-3 into 2. Category 1 should go up there quicker still, but time will tell as Mr. X100 here chases, tries to get back to Benedetti. These riders have this opportunity. Make the most of the downhill. The group in front are riding at 2-3 watts per kilo. It will aid those riders chasing behind coming in. Meanwhile, Tim Cutler, never mind chasing from behind. He's gone on the attack on the front in Category 1, 8 watts per kilo. He's opening a gap here. Is he getting himself some sliding room? Now, if Cutler was thinking, not sure that I really want to be fighting it out with a bunch on this climb, he's gone the right way about it. He's opened up a gap. We saw Rimbaud do that in Category 2. Open the gap. He held it over the top of this first little riser into the right-hand turn. It was only 4 seconds, but he kept it there. Cutler's got 8, and that is a big kick out at this stage in the race. It means that the rest of the group will be wary of letting him go too far up the road. They take this right-hand turn. The trams are very regular here in Zurich, like a Swiss watch. The moment the leaders are coming on to this straight, magically a tram appears. If only it was that simple in real life anywhere but Switzerland. That would be a great way of the world. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. The Category 1, though, steadily making the way up here. So steady, in fact, they're about to drop the tram because they're going to go quick. They're steady as the tram's is the tram on its limit. He's got his foot to the floorboard in the tram and he can't stay with him. The kick's gone again on the front of Category 1 as Linda Milostic now has decided we are not going to make the racing easy here today. I'm going to get across to Tim Cutler. Cutler too. Wow, 12 seconds up the road. What's Tim Cutler have for breakfast? Has he got helium in his wheels or something, or nitrox in the legs? He's put in a huge gap. Milostic has kicked, and now the response starts to come from behind. Who is going to be the key chaser? This is where you see what the opposition are doing. Who can put the pressure on? Who's going to panic? Kaminsky's not. He's just sat there just keeping an eye on everybody. But Justin just out of the saddle, tapping down the rhythm. So is Joe. So is Chirek. Now Kaminsky gets out of the saddle and starts to push on those pedals. These riders on the ascent here, the Alpha Jaw squad, they will be looking to take away a top spot here today. Will they be able to do it? Well, only time will tell when we get to the finish of this race, because it is a brutal race route here today. So just to drop him back in here in with Todd Alan Young. Alan Young looking strong at the moment, right in the mix here, riding for the limited judge squad with Milostic, Paradines and Bjorkland. He was on the left of our screens as we drop in on the right-hand side. The chase that has come from Mr. X100 has continued not just into the December, into the first part of this climb. This climb kicking off at 5.1k, and you can see he makes contact as they come over the flat step. There is a step on the climb up. You have the first section of the climb, the first 700 meters or so, the Whitcomb climb, which climbs at an average gradient of 6%. It then levels, and then it kicks again, and it kicks again. It goes to 10%. It's steeper than that where our Category 1 leaders are, because we are on the main section of climb. Kaminsky tapping out 10.5 watts per kilo. Verjasin is with him. Jones, Paradines, Osborne, Van Elster in the red, and quite rightly so. This is steep. It's brutal. It's going to ease as they go over the top, but anybody who has let a gap go, it doesn't need to be measured in seconds. It can be measured in milliseconds. You're going to find that it will open as you go down unless the riders behind push. They have to keep squeezing on those pedals. If they are behind, they need to get on those wheels. We've got a gap opening up behind the front group. I think we're going to see at least 3 groups here on the road. The time, 3 minutes, 19.251 seconds, an absolutely blistering quick time. Interestingly, it's for Jason who's got the fastest time. He'll be wearing the polka dot skin suit because this is the first of our climbing segments. Those climbing segments are awarding points for the fastest rides up there. It's the fastest time through the climb segment. The top 5 riders getting those points. The points added up across all 4 of our climbs. And when that is done, that is when you will see the final winner of that polka dot jersey. No prizes as such, just the bragging rights and the kudos of wearing it. Great pictures put on your screensaver as well, as we see one of our polka dot jerseys, SS, in here. The most points from the first 2 climbs of the day. The Lindenhoff and the Whitcomb climb done, sitting in second wheel here in Category 3 behind Squalari as they push on here. This descent just stringing the riders out. You're really going to be under pressure all the way over here. 12k into this race route. We're almost midway across the top of the plateau. We've got at least 3 more kicks to come. 3 more ascents on top of the plateau before we drop down. They're not categorized climbs, but they are enough to break the group up. Anybody having a tough time is going to be feeling the pressure, and already those gaps opening. So leading a group in Category 3 over 12.5 kilometers into this race route. The leading group in Category 1, they are currently at 5 kilometers. Your leading group of riders, you've got Power, Kaminsky, Osborne, Panitsa, Churek in there. Vujasin is in this mix as well. This is a real who's who of esports riding in Category 1. And these riders will be enjoying getting on to the race route and riding on the race here today. So the Lindenhoff climb for Jason Kaminsky, Van Elster, Osborne, along with Paradine scoring points there. Knudsen, Jones, Power, Panitsa in the mix. Kroll, Churek, Martins and Talbot. Noren climbing well, as is Mayer and Yakers. A bit further back, Plantero, Koistinen, Yanade and Alan Young. Tim Cutler without his 21st place on the climb in Category 1. And Category 2, well, you can see the leading riders are really putting the hammer down here. Ivan Yuki climbing like an absolute dream at the moment, but he's got to make up a little bit of ground to that leading group of riders in front. He's currently about 9 seconds off the pace of the Sard Carradine group, who are going to come up to the top of the Whitcomb climb here. So they're about to go over the top of the Whitcomb climb. The riders going up and over will be our leading group as they go in and through. And it looks like in that leading group, 19 riders in the group at the front. They have been followed through very quickly by another 4 riders behind. Clays Nuki just trying to get back in to the lead along with Mr. X100 down, but the leading group of 19 riders already stretching this race out. Winfield, Carradine, Milosic on the front, Al-Alami in here as well. So Carradine on our screens on the left, the Avatar on our right. They are working to keep the pace high enough to keep everybody separated out. They won't want to relax too much. because that is dangerous on this climb. It will let riders get back in. But it does mean that they will have made them work pretty hard. Interestingly, Graves, Howeiler, Gombert, Spina in the leading group here. They've got over that first time in Category 2 comfortably. Category 3 leaders, I wouldn't say they're comfortable, but they are pushing on SS at the moment with Spratt, with Ridley, Vujicic, Popovic in the mix here. It looks like that is going to be about 6 riders. So this is going to be interesting. They're catching Truba and Lloyd at the moment in Category 4, just making the way past this group in Category 4. They have still got riders in front. Riders like Somerville, who I think will be the next rider to see the leaders in Category 3 coming up in his rear view mirror. But just leading SSSS in that polka dot skin suit. Knows that he will want to stay in the mix. The big descent down towards the valley starts at just after 17 kilometers into this course. A little way to go for Category 3, a lot less to go for Category 4. You can see they're currently leading the race out at 16.5k on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see that they've got 2 more kickers to come. This, the first one, just a little bit shorter, just a lift out of the saddle, kick through those pedals, just seeing the chevrons come, and then they'll be heading into the second and then into that descent as we see Stefan Van Els, the Iceman, on the climb. Van Els, the Hard to Guards squad leading up here. Kaminsky of Alpha Jaw responding. Then it's going to be Osborne of the Hard to Guard squad. They've got 2 riders in the mix here. However, Knudsen is coming as well. Kaminsky does not want to let go of the wheels here of Van Els. Stefan Van Els tapping out the rhythm here. He's currently at 7.1k. The summit of this climb is at 7.6, but it's rolling on the top, and all of the damage that he's doing to this group, he's shedding riders off the back. He's just been joined by the chaser there. That was, I think, Knudsen just going over the top here. So Michael Knudsen, a rider who was out on the course. Knudsen paying a visit to the team down at the MyWhoosh stand in Zurich this week. Now out on the course here. So Knudsen on the climb. Jones goes after him. Interesting. So Jones of the Alpha Jaw squad chases Knudsen of the Hard to Guard squad. These 2 squads really putting up the majority, but not all of the riders at the front of this race. And it's going to be very interesting to see what the teams like Farm Watt squad do. They've been known to just sit a little bit further back and let the riders duke it out at the front and then pick up the pieces as we go into the later stages. Might not be a tactic you can play today with the profile of this course. So our leaders in Category 1, over the top of the Whitcomb climb, you have got currently 9 riders in over the top. Then we've got a gap back to our chasers. So the chasing group behind will be making the way in very shortly. Osborne with the fastest time, a 5:08. 5 minutes 8 seconds, but nothing separating him from Van Elster and Jones along with Knudsen. In fact, it's only till you get outside the top 5 do you see a gap of more than 1 second. So the leading riders over the top being chased down. 17 riders over the top now, so 8 chasing riders chasing the leading 9. They've gone over the top and through the section, but you can see by the time gap back to Johan Noren, he's in 10th place, and Noren giving away 13 seconds on that climb. Okay, let's drop back in with Category 2. Our Category 2 leaders, it's not all that long ago that we saw Mr. X100 having to chase on. Now, this is good tactics by Mr. X100. Where we are on this really tough road, where it is just about being able to really push over these roller coasters, get that momentum right, you can see that Mohammed El Lamy, Jonas Bjarhed, and Mr. X100 on the front of the race in Category 2 are keeping the pressure on. This will dull down the ability of the climbers to attack on the steep sections. Hopefully, from their point of view, it will nullify the great climbers. This is also, of course, a dress rehearsal for the final 10Ks into the finish. Because remember, from the top of the Whitcomb climb on the last lap, we have 10.1K to our finishing line, which is just before we descend down into the valley once again. So a really good place to go on the attack, to ride it at full-on race pace, to make everybody else suffer, and maybe set your stall out that this is where you're going to go well. If you can get over with the leading group, if you cannot lose touch on any of the descents or the climbs coming through, going to be really interesting to see how this plays out when we come around on lap 2. At the moment, this is lap number 1 of 2. We've done our first ascents of the climb. We are on our traverse of the summit plateau with category 2. Our leading group of riders now with a 21-second gap back to riders. And we are talking class riders behind. Ivan Newkey. We've got Downey back there. These are riders that we know can be up at the front of a MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club race. But not today, not on this course, not in and under the pressure. Clays Harvey, all at 24 seconds now behind as Downey, and that gap continues to open. The bulk of the rider, the majority of the riders in this leading group, this is the biggest group on the road, and that means that they can keep that pace high. Mr. X100 with Heaney continuing to push on here, continuing to keep the pace up, not letting the pace ease, taking the sting out of the long climbing and the steep climbing sections by making the distance even bigger, even longer. Then that will test our riders into this left-hand turn. Next riser comes very quickly indeed. Great course to ride this on MyWhoosh. If you get the chance, please do jump on board. Don't forget, you can download the app. It's available on iOS, on Windows, on Android. You can download it on your tablet, on your phone. Please do so. Check those minimum specs, put it on the device, jump on board your bike, get it hooked up, and jump on and race and ride. Come and ride the amazing worlds. You can find them all on mywhoosh.com. All the links to download on mywhoosh.com as well. And of course, how to enter and what you need to come and race on a Sunday, on the Sunday Race Club. It kick off again next Sunday with qualifier number 1 in October. Okay, so David Dunn in category 2, in that leading group. Ollie Jones in category 1. We've got Issa in category 3 and Bogren in category 4. The riders all over the road here today, all racing for some amazing prizes here on MyWhoosh. Remember, this is the finals. This, the premium esports race series, as far as I'm concerned, the one that pays out prize money each and every week across all 4 race categories. Every single rider is verified. The individual classification takes place each and every week. The team classification in the center of your screen applies in addition, and you can see if our teams take the win in category 4, they'll take away 10,000 AED in addition to those individual prizes on the left. As we move from category 4 to category 3, the prizes go up as we move from our standard category into our categories above. So category 3, 18,000 AED for the team win, 3,000 AED for the individual win. 5 teams, 5 individuals taking away those prizes in each and every category that ascend as we move from 3 to 2. And boy, do they ascend. 30,000 AED for the win, right through to 3,000 for 5th. 6,000 AED for the win and 1,200 AED for 5th in the team classification and the individual classification respectively. And if you think that's big, you ain't seen nothing yet. Category 1 blows it all into a perspective. If you are in that fastest race category and you're part of the fastest team of 3, 50,000 AED for the win, 30,000 for second, 20,000 for third, 10,000 for fourth, and 5,000 AED for 5th. In addition to the prizes in the individual classification, 2,000 for 5th, 4,000 for 4th, 6,000 for 3rd, 8,000 for 2nd, and 10,000 AED for 1st. Now, those people who watch regularly will know that we do often bring you the currency in different currencies from around the globe, courtesy of Emma's Exchange. Emma is not here this week because she's on commentary duty in Zurich, but in person down at the Champs at the moment, the first female lead commentator for the Para Cycling Road World Championships in history. So making history out there at the moment, which means that we do not have an exchange where we go around the world in different currencies. It will return next week, I'm sure, so long as we've got time to squeeze it in on the way through, which I'm sure we will. And that may well have your currency in there. If you want your currency featured, send Emma a message at Biking_Emma or me at Matt Fixer-Payne, and we'll pass that on to Emma. And maybe your currency will be featured, and you'll know what those prices mean in your currency next week. Now, let's get back to the racing. We're in with Category 2. We're still on the summit at the moment at 14.8k into the race route. We have gone over the high point of the summit, so it is overall a descent, but there are some steep kickers coming up. This is a long descent down, and then we've got 2 kicks that come before we drop off the side of the plateau and back down into the valley. We then have a little bit of a riser to go over before we go along the lake side. This group at the moment really pushing on in Category 2. Category 1 leaders, well, we're with them at the moment. It's a select group of riders at the moment. Martin Martins and Ollie Jones pushing a little bit of a gap out on Jason Osborne, Daniel Churek, Paradies, Knudsen and co. It's not a definitive or race-winning gap at this moment. However, it is putting the pressure on. They're on the riser, 13.1k in. This is a little bit of a lift up that you will see that takes them in towards the high point of the plateau that comes just after 14k. You can see it top right-hand side of your screen, that little gradual rise up to the top and then the steep drop down. They're chasing the leaders in Category 2, who are chasing the leaders in Category 3, who are chasing the leaders in Category 4, and the chase is well and truly on here in Category 1. Michael Knudsen decides enough's enough. Let's get after them. 9 watts per kilo. Osborne responds at 10. Churek at 9. We've seen Van El start to pick the pace up, 8.5. That kick here. The riders break. Chasers come across. Everybody makes it. And then it happens again. And then it happens again. And maybe we start to see 1 or 2 riders just unable to respond. Then we see 1 or 2 more. And this is how this group can be whittled down, be little chips taken off it on the way in through. And doing the right moves at the right time is going to be key. Now, let's go from Category 1 to Category 4. Our leaders out on the road because Category 4 are flying, but they've got Category 3 coming up behind. We're just in at the moment with Xavier Maillard, one of our regular riders here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, resplendent in his MyWhoosh jersey. Good to see you, Xavier. And at the moment, riding really strongly here, Steve Newman with him as he sees the Category 3 riders come up on board. And this is a chance to jump on board with those riders on this descent. 23.5k. They're on the descent down to the lakeside. It's a long run down here, and if you are a Category 4 rider getting caught by Category 3, the key thing is to give it a little kick to get in the pack. You can see that is what Xavier Maillard has done. He's tucked in with this group on the descent. He's able to use the draft and the power and the pace of this group and work with them to try and bring the groups in front back. Whum at the moment, 52 seconds up the road. He has the opportunity to pull that gap back by using Category 3. And it's one of those great lessons, one of those great learning experiences on the platform, riding with riders that are better than you. Now, right at the very front of the race route, Marcin Krzywonos has opened up the gap. He sprinted through the sprint section, takes the fastest time and pulls on the green skin suit. He'll wear that to the end. 1 sprint on the race route today. That's the Zurich sprint. And that comes before this 3.6 kilometer run across to the base of the Lindenhoff climb. The Lindenhoff climb, 3.5k from the start of the sprint. That's really, really the last chance to recover before we run into our last 2 climbs that are categorized, the repeat of the Lindenhoff and the Whitcomb, and that then 10-kilometer run from the top of the Whitcomb to the finish line. So category 3 leaders about to hit that same sprint that we just saw category 4 go through. The category 2 leaders at the moment on course, Biarhead, Mr. X100, Mohammed El Alami and co are on the long descent down. And you can just see Mr. X100 just putting in a kick here, just building momentum to carry him into the steep section, which will then transfer as a fast pace on that descent. He's on the left of your screen, leading the category 2 race leaders down after a long chase on to get on after the steep climbs. He's now in contention. If this group here can continue to open up the gap, this is going to be dangerous for everybody else, because this looks to me like there are 6 riders clear at the front here. They've got a gap opened up on everybody else. Simmons, Biarhead, Van Heekan, El Alami, Mr. X100. They have opened up a gap, and this is the way to nullify those climbs. If you took a tough time on the climbs, in climbs 1 and 2, if you open up the gap, get the gap on the descent, work through the base of the descent, you're going to be flying. But we do have a riser coming up. There is a little bit of a bump before you drop down into towards the lakeside. So we're still working our way through the suburbs of Zurich. Phil Graves, who was out in Zurich earlier on this week, now getting to a ride on the platform on MyWhoosh from back in Yorkshire in the UK. Graves at the moment aware of the gaps that are opening up in between these riders, trying to get across to that leading group. Big kick here by Graves. He's using this downhill as the opportunity to get across. He knows once they hit the flat, those groups may well even themselves out. He's put 3 seconds into Gomber as well as Winfield, Dan and co. He's got 3 seconds to the riders in front, and you can see him just taking a breather, then putting in another kick. He needs to get this group back, though, before they hit the next climb, I suspect, because if he can carry this momentum in, he should be able to stay with them on the climb. Let's see if there was too much Swiss chocolate when he was out in Zurich, or whether he was taking in the mountain air and reoxygenating his lungs properly on the way out. Time to find out if it's going to take its toll. Behind him, the chase is on. This is the group he's trying to get back to. These are the leaders, and you can see at the moment Biarhead continuing to push up onto this climb. He doesn't want to let Graves back in here. Phil Graves working hard here, trying to get back into contention, riding for the MyWhoosh Werewolves with Winfield, Theme, and Walter, as Olivier Simmons leads this group on to the climb. Are we losing riders? We are. Looks like Mr. X100 just at the back of this group has to close this gap down. He can't drop back much further. Phil Graves is immediately behind him, and then there's a gap of 7 seconds to Winfield. Now is Mr. X100 just dangling there, waiting for Graves to come up. We know that he has got plenty more power in the tank. I think he's waiting for Graves here. An interesting move by Mr. X100. They fought it out over the years. There's a lot of respect between the two of them for their power performance. They've raced, it's a bit like old times here, time and time again. But I'll tell you who's coming. It's not going to be Graves. It's going to be Winfield on his way across now. Gomber in this group here. He can see these riders. The rider from France, Frederic Gomber, out of the saddle here, kicks down through the pedals. Fantastic history of racing in France. I've got to say, happy birthday. I don't often do birthdays on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, but happy birthday to the Guiston Malais squad, the Guiston Malais squad, the team, the club based in France near where we are at Full Speed Events. 130 years old, the bike club, this weekend. So 130 years of bike club racing. Such is the rich history of bike racing in France. Gomber from France, racing in category 2, trying to close down the gaps here as they go along the section here that takes them into the descent in towards the lakeside. Category 4 leaders, they've done the lakeside. You can see what's in front of them. The leaders on the road, they hit the categorized climbs for the second time. Here we go. It's time to hit the slopes of the Lindenhoff. The leaders round that turn, Rusinek and Datsun leading the riders in. The chasing group taking that turn 14 seconds back. So Jack Rusinek leading up here, opening up the gaps behind as they came down and into this climb. Rusinek continues to push here. The Level Avenger on his way up. He's onto the slightly level section here. He's got Dadson behind, so Dadson trying to close on Rusinek. Come on, Jack, you've got the lead. We love aggressive racing. I love riders who are prepared to have a go. Never mind sitting the bunch and sprint, which was my usual tactic. Absolutely full of admiration for people who are prepared to put their head above the parapet and to give it a dig, to have an attack, to try and push clear. Rusinek has done that. He's chased by Dadson. Dadson at 2 seconds. The chasing group behind 16 seconds down. Meanwhile, in category 3, Popovic and Spratt at the moment with Wojciech, Ridley, Squilari. They are the leading riders. They're round the turn. They're onto the climb. This is going to be key. Gaps have opened behind, though. Interestingly, losing riders here. So this will be telling. Onto the first section here. This is steep. SS already kicking on down. He's got that polka dot skin suit in here for being the consistently the fastest climber on the previous 2 ascents. We've got 2 more to go. He's on to the first of those. He's in category 3 as Mr. X100 in the leading group of category 2. Makes his way over the top and he's keeping the pace hard here. Now, Mr. X100 is not a rider for whom that initial climb, the Lindenhoff climb, will suit because it's got that steepest section, which is where he suffered last time in. However, he made his way back into contention and then has gone clear. So what he needs to do is nullify the moves being made behind him. The leading group being led now, Jonas Bjarhed, you can see chasing hard here to get onto the wheels of Mr. X100. He does not want to let Mr. X100 go. Molostic, Winfield, Simmons, and Alami will follow on behind. That leading group clear at the moment. Behind them, you can see Downey, Clays, Nuki, Sultan, and Brun are chasing, but they have a lot of work to do to get back up to the race leaders. At the moment, that is Jonas Bjarhed and Mr. X100 being chased here. Simmons, Winfield, Heaney, Al-Alami, and Molostic all at 2 seconds. It's that big pack behind them. Keeping the pace hard all the way down into the climbs should take some of the sting out of the climbers' legs. It should just be able to nullify their power. Matthias Van He, a really strong rider who goes well on courses like the Belgian courses. We see him ride really strongly on some of the courses like the Salmary Way. We've got short, sharp, tough climbs. Few kilometers long. This course should suit him today, particularly that rolling section on the top. He'll be looking forward to that, but all these riders know they've got to be in contention at that point. Down we go. This is a descent. You can see the lake on the left-hand side getting closer and closer as we drop down onto this big dual carriageway that takes the championship race route in and out of Zurich proper. In we go. Gradient levels out. We're going to go hit the start banner. So 200 meters sprint. This will award the jersey to the fastest rider through here in that sprint jersey. Not worth prizes. It does allow the rider to wear that green skin suit. Does mean that it's easier to distinguish your rider on the way through. Big kicks coming. I think the cars may well have put in enough. We'll take a little bit of a look. It is indeed Khan Kane's got that. So Khan has taken it. The fastest time in through that sprint, or was behind. The riders chasing have just taken it away. He pushed through. He got a really good time, but Bristol, Mountier, Kriwanos, as well as Glazes and Simmons in the back of the group, pushing on in and through. And it's Olivier Simmons now who has the fastest time through there. Really interesting to see that power, that pace, that little bit of a kick from Simmons taking him in. The leading group in Category 2 all together. Behind them, Category 1. Well, we keep seeing moves being made on the front of this group to try and distance riders. They've managed to distance Martins, 9 seconds. Lionel Vajasin, 9 seconds. never let it be said that after the qualifiers for the Worlds that Lionel Vujjasin has not been putting in some serious training, because that's the only thing I can think of that would result in him being distanced by this far. An absolutely class rider, and I suspect he's got his eyes on a very big final, not the monthly final, but the final of the World Championships, the Esports Cycling World Championships for the UCI on MyWhoosh. That's going to be coming up at the end of October. It's an in-person final, and our top men and women will be on stage racing for the win. We'll see who takes away that title. The first of the championships run on MyWhoosh as part of the UCI Esports Cycling Finals. A real who's who of riders going to those. And some of these riders who are in contention at the front in Category 1 are in the mix as well. Ollie Jones put in a fantastic performance in those semi-finals. He's right up in this front group, along with Jason Osborne, a man who's never been off the podium at a World Esports Cycling Championship. It shows you the class of riders in Category 1. There on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see they're catching plenty of the riders who were up in contention in Category 2. But let's take a look at Category 3. The Category 3 lead at the moment, and that is SS with Wojciech and Popovic. They have got riders behind, but it has broken a little bit here. We're at 31.4K. This is between the summit of the Lindenhoff on the descent and about to start the climb of the Witticum, the second categorized climb and the fourth categorized climb being the same climb. That is going to be the last climb of the day, though, that is categorized. The rest of the race route will take the riders into the finish across the bumpy 10.1 kilometers. Category 3 leaders currently making their way up into the top 15. They're chasing the leaders on the road. Currently a move down the road, a little bit of a kick through by Ollie Jones through the sprint, and then a secondary kick as he goes through here. Now, this is classic Jones territory. Anybody who's not watched this, don't think he's necessarily going to sit up here. Often uses the sprint as a springboard for an attack and then going clear. And Ollie Jones has the capability to ride away from everybody. And that is why you're seeing the response of Jason Osborne, Michael Kaminski, Michael Knudsen, Daniel Chiric and co. They are all going to close this down. They know the danger of letting Jones go. Osborne straight on to his heels here. He's not letting him get a millimetre further down the road than he needs as they go through. Really interesting times. Once again, on the sprint, we saw this in the women's race. We're seeing this in the men's race. The sprint times here in Zurich have a mix of every single jersey in there. We've got blue, green, red, and yellow of all our categories. Fastest time through there, Iga Bristolin of actually Category 3, the Brazilian rider riding on the Anzac squad, the fastest time through there. Then Category 1, then Category 3, a real mix in there, showing that these climbs, everybody knows this race will be won on the climbs, and in the run to the finish, you can set the foundation on the early climbs that come after 1.7K, but you're going to really make it count on the climbs that follow on. Now, we are in with Category 3 here. They're the leaders on the road. They've caught Kevin Horsley, Albin Bogren, along with David Winfield and Joachim Sketting. They've caught those riders back. The Category 4 leaders, in the Category 4 and Category 3 leaders are together at 32.9K. They're in the flat section midway, third of the way up the Witticum climb. Behind them, the Category 2 leaders are climbing well. At the moment, Mr. X100 and Jonas Bjarhed have a 14-second gap, but that is likely to come down as we come into this climb. Simmons closing it to 11. Darnay's right with him, as is Heaney. Bjarhed and Mr. X100 looking to make this climb effectively longer, starting their attack on the way in towards it, stretching the gap out, trying to keep the pressure on. Two riders who maybe don't have that explosive kick and that ultra light or white acceleration on the very steep section. You can see that's going to be coming up. Mr. X100 trying to maintain that gap as long as he can, still holding 12 seconds now to Al Alami, to Dan, the chasing group on the left of your screen, the leaders in category 2 on the right hand side of your screen. 100 meters, 100 meters separating these riders. It is going to be really, really interesting. Will they get caught on those steeper slopes? This is to stop the need to chase on. Remember, last time up here, we saw Mr. X100 put in a phenomenal chase. He had to chase all the way into the Whitcomb climb. He didn't have the opportunity that we've seen now to open a gap behind. The gap is currently sitting, ready for this, 19 seconds. 19 seconds back to Group 2. So that means it could well be that Bjarhead and Mr. X100 don't just go over the top clear. They might have a substantial enough gap to give them the lead going into the Whitcomb. And then we are on that long drag up that takes you 2.5k up towards the end of our climbing sections. This chasing group, though, starting to wind this up. You can start to see yellow and red chevrons in there as the riders go into the zones 4, 5, and 6. Into the highest power that they can produce, really starting to go anaerobic, really starting to use absolutely everything they've got. Meanwhile, behind, well, you can see Ollie Jones at the moment sat on the front of the group here in the green jersey. Jason Osborne sat in the yellow jersey immediately behind him. Remember, Joe's not category 2. He's a category 1 rider, but with the green skin suit of sprint leader. Leaders in category 1, 28.2k. The leaders in category 2 well into the climb. Chasers in category 2. We can see Martin's line of Justin and Stefan van Els are distance from the lead group after that initial attack up the climbs. All these riders really taking a packet on the second half of the climb and the second half of the course today. So going to be really interesting to see how this plays out now. And just keeping an eye on these groups. The leading group here. So you've got Jones leading them through. Paradines is in here. It's today the day Jasper Paradines scores a big win here on the climb. Is this the day when he can take this out? He's up against riders like Jones, Knudsen, Osborne. Really, really, really proven race winners. They know that they have people in here who maybe this could be their first win. This could be their first Sunday Race Club win. They'll want it really badly. They'll want to take this away as we head to the top of the Lindenhoff in front of the Category 1. It's the Category 2 leaders, and they've done it. Mr. X100 and Jonas Bjarhead are going to clear the top of the summit, clear of the chasers behind. They've maintained their gap here, and this is now becoming a more and more dangerous move. Over the top they go. This is the time to pick up pace. Mr. X100 knows it. He starts to work his way. Gonna take a rest, though. I'm not surprised I've held them off. He kicks in now, 6.5 watts per kilo. Mr. X100 and Jonas Bjarhead, if these two riders can work together on this descent, they've got to run till 5.1k before it goes uphill once again. Just watching this time, it's yo-yoing as they go over the top, but this group behind are not putting the pressure down hard enough, I don't think. 19 seconds is the gap, and at the moment, they're sat across the road having a chat. Never mind thinking about refueling. It's a big gamble letting those two off the front coming into that big climb, the second of our big climbs. At the moment, these two could take advantage of this. If these two can ride hard into the climb, carry momentum, they could open up the gap. The riders behind in Category 2 are sitting and chatting, and these two need to not do the same. They need to really push on. Bjarhead now starts to really wind this up. He's going to try and take the pace up here. Mr. X100 goes with him. They've got sandwiched in between Marcus Brito. He's the red jam being squeezed out of the green sandwich here. He's going to be pushed to the back. So Category 2, two leaders clear as they go in towards the final categorized climb. We are in with Category 1. We are approaching the final slopes of the Lindenhoff climb number 1 and 3. And the leading group here are pushing Paradians, Turek, Knudsen, Jones, Osborne, Kaminsky, all in this group. That's 6 riders minimum in here. I think this is going to be very, very telling as to who has got the legs today. We can just see a push coming on now. Kaminsky starting to wind this up on the front. Mikhail Kaminsky of the Alpha Jaw squad wanting to wind it up, wanting to open up the gap behind him. You can see a response is coming. Paradians is pushing. And Turek, Osborne, they do not want to let this gap go. He wants to make it hard. He doesn't want anybody to come back on from behind, but it's a big, big gap behind. He's going to need a telescope multiplied by a rear view mirror to see everybody who is coming up behind him, because they've got lots of riders in between. And if this group continues to push, surely our top 5 riders will come from here. There are more riders than prizes, though, and they need to stay clear of what is a very elite chasing group. People like Martin Martis, Lionel Vajassi, Stefan van Elst, all working on the climb, and the polka dot jersey of the most consistently fast rider through those climb segments is back behind. Here we go on to the climb here. So this is the climb. Over the top they go. The leader will come from here. There are more riders than there are prizes. That means somebody's going to miss out. Going to be really, really critical. So as they go up over the top of that climb section, they should have the fastest climb up the Lindenhoff climb. Lap number 2, 6 riders. Knudsen, Osborne, Turek, Paradians, Jones and Kaminsky leading the race out behind. You can see Vajassin and Van Elst continue to push up towards the climb summit here. This is going to be a real big push here by Vajassin. Has he left it too late to come across the gap? It's showing us a minute the gap. He'll come through to take the points on the climb. Is he going to sit back down, or is he going to push? He's continuing to push. Surely the gap is too big. So Knudsen, Osborne, Turek, Paradies, Joe Kaminsky, and they have put in only 1 second into Lionel Vajassin on that climb. Vajassin looked like he was climbing well, but he couldn't match the time of the top 6 riders on the course so far. 7th and 8th through Vajassin being chased by Van Elst. On the course, Martin's going up there, and interestingly, Martin's time up the Lindenhoff climb on the second climb has got 2 riders from Category 2 faster, Mr. X100 and Jonas Bjarhed. And it shows you what a ride those 2 Category 2 riders are doing to try and stay clear at the front of Category 2. Now, in with Michael Kaminsky in Category 1, the leading group of Category 1 riders here. Kaminsky took on board some fluids. The MyWhoosh jersey just blowing in the breeze as he tries to keep the temperature down, keep that temperature constant. He's just lost a little bit of ground. He's got to get back on to the wheels as we go from Category 1 a little bit further up the road to Category 2. Mr. X100 and Jonas Bjarhed, the 2 race leaders in Category 2, have got a 37-second gap. Yep, a 37-second gap. That is absolutely monumental. They've got to hold it now to the top of the Whitcomb climb. The top of the Whitcomb climb comes at 34.4k. Less than a k to go until they come over the top of that climb. And then we have 10.1 kilometers of undulations, of rises, of changes in tempo, of gradient that are going to really test our riders, where it's going to feel like 110k, not 10k. And it's going to suit the tough rider that has got something left for this really tough finish. At the moment, Mr. X100 and Jonas Bjarhed staying clear. The nearest rider is Mohammed El Alami behind, who is chasing hard, but at the moment he's not making any inroads in here. Great riding by El Alami to bridge up to try and come out clear, but he's only open 3 seconds on Heaney, 4 on Van Heer, 4 on Dan and Ken. And this is going to be an incredible finishing Category 2 as they come up towards the top of the Whitcomb climb. Our 2 leaders, 33.8 is ticking away. It's slowly being covered, but you can see the size of this climb up to the banner and beyond it. Well, it's certainly not flat in that run to the finish. So currently X100 and Bjarhead leading category 2 on the right of your screen. On the left-hand side of your screen, the 6 leaders in category 1 have been reduced to 5. On the descent down into the Whitcomb climb, the big news is that Mikhail Kaminsky has been distanced from the group. We saw him taking a drink and losing a little bit of ground. It was only a second then. He's now lost 11 seconds. So Kaminsky at the moment in trouble. The leading group in category 1 is down to 5. The gap's opening here back up again between Mr. X100 and Jonas Bjarhead. Bjarhead having to respond to the pace being set. There is no easing here. The only rider who's really pulling down a huge amount of time out of them, and it's still only about 4 or 5 seconds he's got back, is Mohamed El Lamy. He's at 27 seconds. It's further back down to the group behind. These two riders have to keep on pushing. This is not just for the top of the climb. This is not about the polka dot jersey. This is a race-winning move. If they can make it stick, they're going to have to time trial in towards the finish and sort it out when they get there. This is survival of the fittest on the front. At the moment, the two riders going up and through. Bjarhead goes underneath the polka dot banner, as does Mr. X100. They are the leading two category 2 riders in underneath the climb, and the clock is ticking on El Lamy now. So El Lamy, Heaney, Kane, Van He, all in a long line behind. Riders starting to be shed from the chasing group. What's the time gap going to be? It's currently showing 35 seconds because the leaders are already into a faster section. The time checks are in real life, so it's basically the speed and the pace of the rider. The speed the rider's doing, the distance they've covered, and worked out as a calculation, so it's constantly changing as they go through. Great racing in category 2, great racing in category 3. These are your leaders on the road. 5 riders in the leading 5 ahead of category 4. Now you have 3 riders clear. SS in the polka dot skin suit. You've got Jakub Wojciech in the basically identical kit to Pablo Popovic alongside him. It's Popovic sitting in second wheel immediately behind SS. 2 riders who've ridden and spent a lot of time together. Both riders here, both Popovic and Wojciech, are looking very much identical in the kit at the moment. So this is going to be interesting. Let's see who is going to take this away. Popovic and SS both riding as individual riders. Wojciech, well, he is going to be looking to try and score as many points as he can on his way through for the Autoroa Alliance to maximize that time gap back. As we take a look back down into category 1, you can see on your screens that Michael Kaminsky is at 33.9k, and it's 300 meters up the road to the front of the group, and Paradians is now starting to struggle to stay with the leading group of riders. Osborne, Knudsen, Turek are the riders up at the front here. Jones in the mix, but Turek is at 2 seconds, Paradians at 7. This is coming up to the top of the Whitcomb climb, the top of the 2nd categorized and the 4th categorized climb today. It's the same summit up here for this climb segment. In they go. They're going to set surely the fastest time of the day up there. They've blown Jonas Bjarhead's time down, and it has been Knudsen from Jones, from Osborne, from Turek. At the moment, we'll get a time checks on those as they go through. But Knudsen on that climb, averaging 425 for Watts, 462 for Ollie Jones. Knudsen goes through with Jones, with Osborne at the same time, essentially. Then the gap back to Turek, 5 seconds, 9 seconds to Paradians. They're the only 5 riders in category 1 that have come through the time check so far, and it shows you what a gap these riders have on everybody else behind. Bjarhead, Mr. X100, Alami, Heaney, Ken, both Khan and Birken, Van Heemer, Lostich, Darn. They've all been pushed aside by the leading 5 riders in category 1. 5 minutes, 14 seconds, 0.584 for Mikael Knudsen. A fantastic time up there. Absolutely phenomenal, but is it enough? Knudsen at the moment sitting on the heels. Great to see. Now we're going to have got 3 riders at the front of this race in Category 1, and we've got 3 different jerseys. You've got Michael Knudsen still retaining the yellow jersey in Category 1. That is just the jersey. The green skin suit being worn by Ollie Jones, the rider who took the fastest time through the sprint, and Jason Osborne with the polka dot skin suit of the best climber. If everybody in every category could do this for us, it would make live on commentary and behind the scenes, picking the scenes, much simpler. So thank you very much, gents, on the front of the category 1. I'm sure it wasn't anywhere in your minds when you did it, but it does make life hopefully a little bit simpler calling the finish, so long as nobody gets back to them. And that is not a done deal, because it's only 3 seconds back to Daniel Churek, who's coming along in the yellow jersey, chasing them in Category 1. Category 2, right-hand side of your screen, we still have 2 leaders clear. We're at 37.1k, but remember, this is a 44.5k race, not 45k as normal on Sunday Race Club, 44.5k. That means that it's going to still be a long way if you are in the lead, solo or as a pair. And that is what we've got in all of our categories. We've got small groups at the front. Category 4, we have a leading group of 2 riders with 1 rider at 5 seconds. That is Bogren. In Category 3, you can see it's Pablo Popovic, SS, and Jakub Wojciech, who have a 27-second gap to Ridley, and then it's Spratt at nearly a minute. Meanwhile, in Category 2, we know Jonas Bjornhead and Mr. X100 are clear at the front, 25 seconds back to the chasers behind them. And then in Category 1, 3 riders clear here. The sign going in from Jason Osborne to get a move on and get working, or they're going to have riders coming back at them, and that is dead right, because Churek is only at 4 seconds at the moment. Paradines at 23. Surely Paradines is going to be out of the top 3, but potentially still in the top 5. But they need to work. They need to keep on pushing. Those 4 seconds will disappear, and the odds of 1 in 3 is a whole lot better than 1 in 4. What great racing across all great categories, great riders in here. Fantastic races as always on the Sunday Race Club. You can join. Don't forget, we kick off again next week. You could be on that start line, down the app, jump on board, go through the checks, make sure you get yourself verified, got your system set up right. You need a big fan to keep cool. If you're anywhere that's even remotely warm, you see the sun streaming in on our chaser in Category 1. Daniel Churek currently sitting in 4th place. He's in the prize money. Churek riding for the Alpha Jaw squad. Really pushing here. His teammate is in front, Ollie Jones. Jones will not be putting too much work in here. He will not mind if he gets Churek coming back up to them at all. So Jones and Churek inside the top 4. You got Knudsen and Osborne in there. Knudsen and Osborne both riding for the Hard to Guard squad. So the Hard to Guard squad is in their interest to keep Churek off their heels. Churek at the moment at 7 seconds. 2 riders in the top 4 for Alpha Jaw, 2 riders in the top 4 for Hard to Guard. It's about what's happening behind and who is coming up. Let's going to see at the end of this. I'm hoping we're going to be able to have time to bring you the team results. Not always the case on the Sunday Race Club, because it does depend on that third counter all the way in and through. Very, very tricky across all of those categories. All the results are up on the MyWhoosh.com website. They're live at the moment. You can grab them there. If you've got another device to check out those on, you'll see where those riders are. As in Category 3, we see an attack by Pablo Popovic. The momentum master himself has gone in hard here. The yellow banner is around the left, the right, and the left again. This is a very similar finish. The one you see at the top of the Yebel, her feet with a dip and a rise into it. Pablo Popovic got the momentum master name coined for him at that point in time. He's opened up a gap. You can see something right up to 18 seconds at the moment. Popovic on the roller coasters, using the momentum, using his skill, has opened the gap. What can SS and Wojciech do about this? Can they pull him back? Time is running out as Popovic in Category 3 is going to be the first of our riders to see the finish banner. Here comes the UCI gantry. This is the finish of the course here in Zurich on the Sunday Race Club monthly final. It is going to be a win for Pablo Popovic of Brazil. He comes to the finish line. What a win. The momentum master Master Zurich. What a race by Pablo Popovic. Second place, it's going to SS. He comes through, he takes the polka dot jersey coming in. You can see that behind him it's going to be Wojciech who takes third place. So Pablo Popovic in 1, SS in 2, Jakub Wojciech in 3. Wojciech coming in for his squad, and now he needs to see where that is going to play out behind him in terms of positions. Now we're back in with the leaders in category 4 on the right hand side of your screen. Horsley with a 7-second lead from Skretting. He's done the first of the bumps. He's got to do the second one. He's not all that far off the finish. In front of him, Ridley and Spratt are making their way in towards the finishing line in 4th and 5th places in the men's competition in category 3. So they will round out the top 5 in terms of prices. Indeed, Ridley just coming over the line there. Kevin Horsley, though, right-hand side of your screen, sprints on down. He kicks his way up here. This is that left-right-hand chicane. Skretting is just behind him at 8 seconds. He's not all that far behind. He can climb as well. He's got that climber's jersey. He's going to need to make it count. The gap's down to 5 seconds to Horsley now. Horsley's responding, though, and Skretting's got problems of his own as Bogren goes over the top here. So Horsley's in front of Bogren, and Bogren's a man on a move. He's on a charge. Can he pull back Kevin Horsley? Horsley's at 5.5, now at 6 watts per kilo. He's desperately clawing his way up this slope. He does not want Bogren to get on his wheels for the run to the line. Horsley surely has done enough. He's on the left of your screen. Bogren's not going to catch him. Kevin Horsley is going to take the win here in Zurich on the finals here in September. Your winner in category 4, Kevin Horsley. It's going to be a second place for Albin Bogren, who overtook Joachim Skretting, putting Skretting into third in the last few hundred meters. What a race in category 4. Right, back in with category 2. Jonas Bjarhed, Mr. X100, still inseparable. 41.1k covered at the moment as they go in. Now I'm going to do a quick roundup for category 3, and I'm going to try and get as many of category 4 done at the moment so that we've got a bit of time at the end to have a look at the time checks, while simultaneously keeping a check on Jonas Bjarhed, who is opening up a bit of a gap here on Mr. X100. And this X100 can't let that go. 4 seconds. He's not unclosable. He's got to keep on pushing here. Category 3, Pablo Popovic in 1, SS in 2, Wojciech in 3, Ridley in 4, Spratt in 5, Gomez in 6, Cansara in 7, Squilari in 8, Oviedo in 9, Arrego in 10th. When we come to category 4, Horsley in 1, Bogren in 2, Skretting in 3, Navarro in 4, Rusinek in 5, Dadson in 6, Cadabona in 7, Winfield in 8, Cridlin in 9, Warren in 10th place. They are your finishes, your top 10 finishes in category 3 and category 4. Job done. Tick, out the way. Right, back to category 2. Okay, category 2, race situation at the moment. Jonas Bjarhed opening up the gap, going into this descent at 41.8k. We finish at 44.5. The last climb finished, the last categorized climb finished at 34.4, where we had 2 riders clear. Jonas Bjarhed and Mr. X100 were together. Now, Jonas Bjarhed has continued to push, and he's got a gap of 7 seconds on Mr. X100, who is sat in between our race leader and the chasing group. The chasing group are 8 seconds back from Mr. X100's wheels. Peter Milostic, Alex Heaney and co have to keep on pushing here. Mr. X100's worked really hard today, but he's got to keep on pushing here. He's got 9 seconds to the riders behind. There's a second place at stake. There's a first place at stake if he's got anything left, but surely the impetus has gone out of his chase at the moment. Resting on that downhill, maybe saving something for the last few kicks in. Can he hold off the riders behind? Can he close back on Bjarhed? He's just in front, tantalizingly close. The green jersey in front is Bristolin, and it looks like Bjarhead has gone over the top in that polka dot skin suit, but it does give a target for the riders behind to aim at. Jonas Bjarhead proving he's the fastest climber on the categorized climbs. The chase is on behind, and this is going to be tough stuff. Getting that gap back down again with Jonas Bjarhead of Sweden on the front here. The Goats team will be getting a fantastic advantage in that team competition, potentially, as they make their way in. Speaking of team competitions, Category 3 team competition, Aotearoa Alliance taking the win from Pro Beginner in second, Gold Grabbers in third, Draft Team in fourth. In Category 3. That is where we stand at the moment. Category 3, Category 4 teams. Just taking a little bit of a check. I think we're going to find it's BMC have taken the win from Level Up Racing from the Anzacs at the moment. But of course, all those provisional, based on me looking at 16 screens simultaneously, which is always dangerous. Okay, let's get back to our individual racing. Category 2, Bjarhead in the lead. 5 seconds clear of Mr. X100 now, who's picked up the pace. 8, now 9 watts per kilo coming out of Mr. X100 on the chase of Bjarhead here. He's right behind him. They thought it was all over. It's not anymore. Behind them, El Alami is showing why he is such a strong rider, starting to lead the chase behind. He's got to start bringing the gap back. He's being answered, though. Bert Cahen has gone after him, as was Milostich, as is his brother Karen Cahen. No brotherly love between those two at the moment on the chase. Meanwhile, Mr. X100 has got Jonas Bjarhead in his sights. We'll take a look over the shoulder here from Jonas Bjarhead. We're at 44.1k, 400 meters to go. This is going to be absolutely critical. We're into this left, the right, and then the pull up to the summit here is the run for the line. Has Bjarhead got enough left? He kicks at 8 watts per kilo. Jonas Bjarhead's got an 8.5. Is there any answer from Mr. X100? He's got to stay clear of El Alami, who's got plenty left in the tank. He's shown that, but Bjarhead has got the pacing and the timing right. He's out of the saddle, stamping down. He wants to exchange the polka dot skin suit for the yellow skin suit. He's opening up the gap on Mr. X100, who is just staying clear of the chase behind at the moment. It's going to be tight behind, but no problems. Jonas Bjarhead in Category 2 in the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, a monthly final, takes away the win, converts the polka dot skin suit to the yellow skin suit of race winner, as Bert Cahen is in a sprint here with Mohammed El Alami. Cahen's got the sprint here. We know he's been able to do this before. He does it now. It's a second place for Bert Cahen, a third place for Mohammed El Alami. It's going to be a fourth place. Brave ride by Mr. X100. He comes inside the top 5 with Alex Heaney in 5th. Cahen in 6th. Peter Milostic is going to be in 6th place. Wow. As Emma would say, wow, 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 wow. Absolutely amazing race there in Category 2. As we see the run in Category 1, they almost caught them. The sprint is unwinding here. Jason Osborne is leading this out in the polka dot skin suit. Ollie Jones in the green skin suit has gone with him. He's got the sprint jersey. Has he got an answer? They have left behind Knudsen in the yellow jersey of Category 1. And now Jones is coming. He's on the heels of Osborne. He's coming to the left-hand side. He's on the left. He's surely going to take him. The momentum takes it. Ollie Jones takes a win from Jason Osborne in the final few centimetres of the final run to the line in the finals of the Sunday Race Club. What a ride as he came in through. It's a third place here today for Michael Knudsen. Those 3 riders showed they were a class above. They stayed clear of Daniel Churek. Churek continues to push for the Alpha Jaw squad. And this is setting us up for a fantastic team competition in Category 1. Because as the riders come through, it's going to make things difficult. In Category 2, very quickly, the Goats taking the win in Category 2 team competition from the Wattage Warlocks. So at the moment, that's where they stand in Category 2. In Category 1, though, we have got riders in the same team. You will see on your screens, Alpha Jaw have 2 in the top 4. Hard to Guard have 2 in the top 4. Ollie Jones taking away the win. 1 hour, 6 minutes, 17 seconds from Jason Osborne. 0.078 of a second behind. So that is 7 hundredths of a second, nearly 8 hundredths of a second behind. That is an incredible result, a fantastic sprint finish. Third place, Michael Nussen of the Hard to Guard squad, getting 2 riders in there in the top 3. Daniel Churek, great ride by him to come through for 4th. The top 5 and Prizeman going to be heading Jasper Paradine's way of the Limited Jaja squad. So they're going to be getting a good setup now. These 5 riders were clear. They've got gaps behind. Alfred, taking the team win, though, because Michael Kaminsky has come in 3rd counter place, 6th place in the race here. So that puts him in a position now. Kaminsky, the 6th rider home today. Who will come home? 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. It's going to determine where those team prizes go. Remember, 3 riders to count in the team, 5 riders the maximum allowed. Behind, you can see the riders rounding outside the top 10 of Category 2 at the moment. Milostic was 9th from memory. Then you got Van Hedan, Spina, Winfield, and Simeons going in through as our next riders in Category 1 all start coming home. And the Hard to Guard squad have taken 2nd place. Osborne, Knudsen, and Van Elst are in and through. Martin Motten's their 4th counter, just coming in 14th place. Wenger boys, they're going to take the 3rd place in that team competition. Great riding by them, Power Panizza and Jacobs. The full results are up on the MyWhoosh.com website. Please do jump on board there. Download the app and, of course, have a look at those results. All the events on the events page on there of all the various races. Do make sure you join us for that. A massive thank you to you for watching what has been an amazing monthly final of the first time we've gone to Zurich in honour of the World Championships being in Zurich. The first of the MyWhoosh World Championships coming up at the end of October, and the first race on the Sunday Race Club in October is next Sunday. I hope to see you on that start line. Hopefully watching. Please do subscribe. Get online, hit that subscribe button, give us a follow on YouTube or on the Twitch TV. You can follow me. It's at Matt Fixerpaint. Emma will be back next week. You can keep up with what she's been up to on social media. That is at biking_Emma. It's at MyWhoosh across Facebook and Instagram. It is my_whoosh on X. Please do follow, like, subscribe. It really is appreciated by all of us. A big thank you to the team behind the scenes. They've had to listen to just me for the last 2 weeks. I'm sure they're looking forward to the return of Emma next week and Emma's exchange, of course. But from me, from the team, thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week. Goodbye.